All right, here he is.
A lot of people are talking about this wedding with the famous and legendary Cynthia Bailey. What can you tell us about the wedding?
It is hectic. It is crazy.
Wedding planning is easy. What are you talking about?
Yeah, bro, let me tell you something, man. It never gets easier. I'm experienced at being married. It's my third marriage, and I guarantee you this will be my last. And this has been the biggest one yet, obviously, with all the hype and all the hoopla behind it or whatever, man. But we were just discussing that earlier today. When you want to see family members and friends go crazy and act stupid and bring up a lot of drama, funerals and weddings, bro.
I feel like society throws a wedding at the couple to see if they're ready to deal with family life and being married. It's like the first big project you have together.
It is. It is huge, man. And it's like it's so much work that goes into it, just cutting down a list. And, you know, we had a pre and a post-COVID list, and the first list went out, the pre-COVID list that wasn't supposed to go out. So people that weren't really invited got invited. So they started RSVPing. We had to call them and let them know, hey, you know what? We made a mistake. Sorry. We were thinking about you. But unfortunately, because of COVID, for the most part, they understand. I mean, they probably had little feelings in every now and then. But at the same time, man, it's our day. It's what's supposed to happen for us. And I'm just trying to, get her to understand that too, that, you know what, at the end of the day, as long as we're together and we consummate our relationship in the eyes of God, that's what matters the most.
So how many guests are you going to have?
Touré, we were supposed to have, I'm even afraid to say it because now the people that didn't get invited are going to be even more pissed, to be honest with you, because so we thought that we was going to have like between 100 and 150 people.
Nice big wedding.
People are going to be afraid to travel, not come here. Atlanta's a hot spot or whatever. Bro, we had 235 people right now.
That's a huge wedding.
I know, man. It's
You're
crazy.
At 235.
It's two. Our limit was 250. We got to cut it off at 250, and but we're about a month away, and it is what it is. So hey, the price on the bill and the food went up, so we got to pay. So they better show up. That's all I know. They damn well better show up. They say they're coming, and they better eat every damn thing on their plate, man.
Oh my God. Part of the thing about this wedding and this relationship that's beautiful is where it came out of in your life and the journey that you've begun talking about in terms of like writing this book and meeting her out of that. And your book, Open Mic, goes really, really deep into your life and your journey and your attempt to become a better man, which is really inspiring to see. And I just want to talk about some of the things you touch on in the book and get to like how you have worked on yourself to become a better man. But, you start off, or at least in your history, you talk about like, the domestic violence you witnessed in your childhood home. Didn't you talk about that? Like, just like, what did you see and how did it affect you?
It just, it traumatized me. But what we don't realize is that as a person or a young kid that grows up seeing their mom being abused physically and mentally by the man that's supposed to love her, is that at that time, you just look at it as kind of normal. And it's sad because a lot of us in our community, we've had friends whose moms were also beaten or whatever, and you just kind of dealt with it and you live with it. And you don't know the type of trauma, type of effect it has on your life until later on when you finally get the help that you need. It took me writing this book to realize, man, oh my gosh, my first memory in my life is seeing my mom getting her ass whooped. The first thing I can remember, I don't know how old I was, but the first thing I can remember, the oldest memory of my life is my mom getting her ass beaten by my dad. And it's just like, that is terrible. And I knew in one way, I don't know if I had this innate sense that I never wanted to be that person when it came to physical abuse to a woman, because I saw the effects it had on my mom and I saw the tears and I feel her emotions or whatever. But at the same time, not having that positive male role model in my life, the other side of things that I didn't learn. So I learned one thing of what not to do, but I didn't learn the things of what to do and how to treat a woman. So even though I didn't physically abuse women, seeing that type of trauma, it caused me to mentally abuse women because I never saw love in my house. I never saw one time where my mom and my dad just came to each other and said, you know what, I love you. You're everything to me. You're my queen. You're my king. I never saw that in my house. I never saw them kiss unless somebody was going to work or whatnot and say, hey, love you, bye. That was it. Never saw, hey, come give me a hug and cuddling and all that type of stuff. I didn't see that in my home. Only time I saw that was Dr. Huxtable and Bill Cosby or whatnot. I never saw it in anybody's home. So I didn't know how to grow up with that kind of love and how to treat a woman. And it had a big effect on me in my life.
You saw her stabbed?
Yeah. I saw her on the floor in a pool of blood. And I was probably about 9 or 10 years old at that time. And and you read the book and you saw that if you read the story in the book, you'll see every detail of it and the cold and the callousness behind the man who my stepdad is a complicated man. He raised me. He loved me. He showed me love. Animals loved him. Children loved him. He just didn't know how to love my mom the right way. Or maybe he loved her too much and he was obsessed because he was jealous and rage, and he had alcohol abuse, which turned into drug abuse, which later we found out he had a secret part of his life that even my mom didn't know about. I didn't find out about it until I was 22 years old. And
he's a hitman.
He's a jealous person. So he could be gone for the entire weekend for 3 or 4 days. Nobody would find him. But if my mom was gone for 2 hours and her time was, not called for or spoken for, and he didn't know, he was going to go into a jealous rage. And one of those times he actually stabbed her. And
he's a contract killer.
Yeah, he found out later in my life that he put out hits. He actually, one of the reasons he was in jail was because of that. So that he spent the last 9 years of his life in jail. When you find out the person he had killed, I mean, it's just going to be kind of shocking to you, and where he had this person killed. I mean, it's a lot of things that went into it with this whole book. So that was part of my early life, but I found this out as an adult. And even as an adult, going through this and trying to start my career and trying to start my own family and keep everything going, still having that on your mind has an effect on you. So that's one of the reasons I actually wanted to put the book out, because look, man, I'm not saying that my problems were any worse than anybody else's or whatever. I lived a complicated life. I just know that people have this image. You know how it is on television, Touré. People see us and they're like, oh, you didn't go through anything in your life or whatever. But I went through a lot of stuff, man. And I still go through a lot of stuff. But I wanted to put that out there so people can see my pain, so that people can see a little bit of themselves maybe in them and get the help that they need long before I got it.
And do you think the things that you witnessed and the home that you had, you talk about the pain and the lack of a man giving you positive male reinforcement, is that why you were not able to make your first 2 marriages work?
Yeah, because I didn't know how to love. That and something that happened to me when I was 15 years old that I held on to. What we don't realize sometimes as men, I think we hold on to trauma and pain and hurt a lot worse and a lot longer than women. Women, have this ability sometimes. They can be hurt by a man 2 times a year and fall in love next year. We get hurt one time and we're done for the most part. We clock out. We hold on to that baggage because, if a person shows you they can't be trusted early on in your life, it's hard for you to trust that next person because we can't stand the pain. We can't take the pain or whatever. So, yeah, it was a lot of things that happened to me. Seeing, what my mom and my dad went through, once again, not seeing that love, something that happened to me when I was 15 years old, and me just not loving myself and not knowing who I am and not feeling that I'm worthy of that love, or feeling adequate enough to be in love, or not trusting somebody to fall in love because I felt like, part of it was my conscience, the things I was doing out there. Hey, I'm pretending to be this great guy, putting on this mask, and everybody in public sees this or whatnot. What are you doing? Because you're pretending the same way I'm pretending, so I can't trust you. So it took me writing this book and uncovering and getting help from all the trauma that I've had in my life before I said, you know what, I need help. You know, just like an alcoholic, just like somebody that's on addicted to drugs, I need help, and I'm hurting on the inside, despite the facade that I'm putting out there. This great face, great job, great life, whatever. Man, I'm crying all the time and wondering why. So when I started uncovering all that pain and all that trauma, I was able to let it go, and I was able to see some of the things that, like, wow, this is why this started happening. This is why I couldn't do this, and this is why this didn't work, and this is why this is affecting me professionally. So that became the surgery. And when I had the surgery, I also needed to follow up with rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is the therapy that you have afterwards. So I said all that to say this: I didn't become a man until I was 47 years old. I'm 50. I wrote this book when I was 47, started writing this book when I was 47, because then I could take out all the stuff that was affecting me, that trauma that was hurting me, the cancer that was building up, that was literally killing me on the inside, take that out and replace it with the happiness that I need, and seal the rehabilitation that I still have to have till this day to make myself whole. And when I made myself whole, then I was able to accept and be willing and feeling like I deserve to be in love with somebody.